Look, Kyle Busch takes the mantra, if you're not first, you're last. He wasn't first. He wasn't sniffing first. So he was not happy. He has a high level of concern.
Hey race fans, welcome to another episode of Backseat Drivers. It's Monday, you know the drill. We're going to recap Texas Motor Speedway. Joining me from his stone tablet, our resident analyst, Mamba Smith over there. That's an Android joke if you didn't get it. He is not an iPhone or an Apple guy. And then coming to our Texas Motor Speedway hotel, still in Texas. We can't get him out of Fort Worth. And I'm a little disappointed that FOX Sports Bob Pockrass is not in the stockyards on top of a cattle, horse, cow, whatever. But here we go, Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome in, and no surprise, it's the 8th win for Kyle Larson over there at Hendrick Motorsports. First time ever locking into the championship for Kyle Larson, and he can have a break for the next 2 weeks. Bob, who can we credit more with Larson being so good this season?
I'm going to credit Kyle Larson. Last year, he continued to raced a lot of sprint cars, and just continued to hone his craft. And when he got this opportunity now with Hendrick, he is making the most of it. Everybody says, well, he wasn't in the best equipment at Ganassi, but I don't think that if you put Kyle Larson in Hendrick equipment 4 years ago, he's doing what he's doing today. I think he has matured as a racer. He has shown that he is able to run full 500, 600-mile races and not lose a beat.
Yeah, all right, Mamba. A magic potion over there in the number 5 team. You have Cliff Daniels, you have Rick Hendrick, you have Jeff Gordon, you have Kyle Larson. A lot of people moving that machine in the right direction. Who's to credit for the success?
Yeah, first off, Bob, did you notice how she just kind of slipped in there? You know, Kyle Larson's dominance, as if she's been picking him all year or something. Like, no big deal. I digress.
I was going to say that Kyle Larson's going to be mad at her because he keeps telling me I have 9 wins because the All-Star race counts as a win too, and don't forget it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Cliff Daniels, the leader, the captain of the 5 ship. I think that Cliff he's matured as a leader and as a crew chief, and he knows how to get his guys where they need to be and ready to go win races week in and week out. They had that little patch there where they were like, it looks like there's something wrong with the 5 group. No, nothing's wrong with the 5 group. They just needed to be battle tested, and now they are. And they're flexing their muscle. Again, I'm not surprised by it. They have a great group. It was a perfect blend. You have the Kyle Larson coming into an organization that just won the championship. You have him coming in with wanting to prove that he still belongs here, which obviously he does. And you have Cliff Daniels in that whole 5 group that wanted to prove that they are a championship caliber team. It was a perfect storm for them, which was the worst storm for the rest of the field.
Yeah, a nightmare for the rest of the field. I talked to Cliff Daniels, and he always seems so cool and calm. And I asked him, do you ever get flustered? He told me, yeah, during the week, I'm flustered all the time. I'm like super anxious and stressed out. Cliff, I just don't believe you. So I'm over that argument. You're just calm all the time. All right, Bob. So now we have one of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers locked into this championship 4 and going after a trophy again come Phoenix time. But there's one left that's now sitting below the cut line in the round of 8, and that's the 9 of Chase Elliott, the reigning champ for 2020. Do they focus on Larson now and look ahead to Phoenix already? And is it time for the 5 to go out and win possibly at Kansas and Martinsville? Or are they putting the resources to try and get the 9 into the Champ 4 as well?
Well, I think they'll try to put the resources into the 9, but Chase Elliott hasn't won on an oval this year. That's not to say he can't. You know, he's top 5 at both Kansas and Martinsville earlier this year. But Hendrick's best bet to get Chase Elliott in might be to have Larson to win, because if Larson keeps winning, that means Brad Keselowski doesn't win. That means Martin Truex Jr. doesn't win. And both those drivers are pretty close to the cut line.
Mamba, the 9, do you put all your resources towards the reigning champ, or is it everybody's game for themselves?
I mean, I think probably they're going to put a lot of resources to the 9. They want to have 2 cars in the Final 4. They want a 50-50 shot at winning the championship. I don't think you got to worry about the 5. I think the 5 just goes on and does what the 5 has been doing all year, which is pretty much dominate everywhere. So I think the rest of the team is going to really look at how they can help the 9 in little spots. And like, it's not like, let's not say that the 9 doesn't know what they're doing. Like, they aren't the reigning champs. They're fine. They know what they're doing. But if you can get a little help from your teammates before you leave for the racetrack at the shop and a little help on track, maybe racing some other people a little harder than you might, could help the 9 out and get them into the next round.
Where there were some drivers who were able to at least recover and have a decent finish at Texas, but it was trouble for the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and the 22 of Joey Logano. They both ended their days early. Different issues, one on-track issue and then one an engine failure. Bob, is it panic time for the 19 and the 22?
Yeah, I think so. They're going to have to win most likely to advance. And they're going to tracks where we know that they potentially could win. We've seen them battle before, haven't we, at Martinsville? But I think it's a little bit time to panic, because you look at the drivers that they're going to have to overcome, and it's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, MTJ is 22 points below the elimination line. Logano is 43. Mamba, panic time? You worried?
Well, I'm not hitting the button yet, but these guys are they're gonna have to put some things together. They're gonna have to put a lot of stage points together if they want to not have to be in a must-win situation, which I feel like they kind of are already. And also for the rest of the field, that's a nerve-wracking situation if you talk about the 22 having to do things for the 22. Logano is not afraid to do whatever he has to do to give him the best shot to win this championship. So I am interested to see what is going to happen. You don't want to go into Martinsville needing it, because that's just a tough race to win.
3 of the 4 Joe Gibbs Racing cars are in the round of 8, all 3 from Team Penske. So it'll be interesting to see which organization comes out on top. We'll touch more on that a little bit later in the show. Now let's look at the 24 of William Byron, because a non-playoff driver, and I want to focus on the 24, had a solid day at Texas, running up front majority of the day. And he's shown a lot of speed this season, been Mr. Consistency, especially at the early part of the season. So, Bob, is the 24 kind of implementing himself as maybe a championship favorite come 2022?
No, not yet. I see him as a championship 4 contender, but I don't see him as a championship favorite yet. He's got to win more to do that. And of course, I probably would have said the same thing last year about Chase Elliott. So you can take that for what it's worth. But I think Byron, I certainly think that they can get to a championship 4, kind of the way they are running. But when you say, hey, can he win the title? Is he a championship contender? I'm not sure that they're there just yet, but give Rudy Fugle another year or two, and I think they could get there.
All right. Well, when it's 2022, William Byron is the NASCAR Cup Series champion. Make all your checks out to Bob Pockrass, William, because you're welcome. Mamba, is the 24 going to be a championship contender for 2022?
Well, I usually, follow what Bob says and hold it very highly accountable. And so, yeah, according to Bob, since he wouldn't have picked the 9, he's not going to pick the 24. So, yeah, book it. 24 is it. No, I mean, honestly, though, I think that they have shown a lot of grit. And I think that's something that William needed to show for on track, just his personality as a driver. He's gotten into it with Tyler Reddick a little bit, and he showed that fire. I think that was really important for the development of him and his team. I think that they are going to take a step next year. They're going to be in this round next year and be hunting for a championship. Are they going to get there? Are they going to be a favorite? I don't know. That's kind of tough to say this year, especially with the new car coming next year. But I would say that they are going to be here in position to fight for a championship.
William Byron is a part of that next generation of NASCAR. And we always say that the future looks bright, but now not only will we have a new generation that is driving the cars, but we're going to have the next gen car on track for next season. So, Bob, you and I spent some time out at the Charlotte Roval following the Roval weekend for the next gen test. And it was really the first time that we've seen a test of that magnitude with that many teams and that many drivers. What were your takeaways from the next gen, just seeing it on track at the Roval?
It was just cool to see that many cars, see over 20 cars on the racetrack. You got to see where the numbers were positioned. Some teams had bigger numbers. Some teams pushed them really far forward. Others maybe not forward as much. So a lot of debate on exactly how to position those numbers. We got to see some paint schemes, which I thought were cool. We got to see, again, these cars, which I think look more like the passenger vehicles. And for the teams, I think they learned a lot. They know that there are going to be some gremlins and some hiccups. That's to be expected when you have a new car. But at least they know what they need to work on now, where before maybe it was more just speculation of what they needed to work on.
I was pretty impressed with everything. The cars are cool. Bob, what was the most impressive thing to you from the team aspect? Like, what was something that really stood out that you're like, wow, I did not know, I didn't think that these guys would be this prepared in this part of the car?
Well, there were a couple of things. I know one team changed an engine in about 90 minutes. And when you have a new car and all sorts of new pieces, it can take a while to learn how to do something just as, I don't want to say as simple as changing an engine, but it's something that teams do all the time. But all the new processes and procedures that they're going to have to do with this new car is all new to them. And so that's what they're learning. And the other kind of impressive thing I thought was that just everybody's trying to deal with the heat in the car, and there's all sorts of different ideas. And there are about 4 or 5 different ways that they're trying to kind of attack this issue. And it seemed that everybody was working kind of in collaboration, and in order to, they know that they're going to race this car in February. So they know that time is of the essence, and everybody seems to be working well together.
Bob mentioned that February date, the first on-track activity that is not a test, that is actually a race. It's not a points-playing race, but it will be the LA Coliseum. I am so excited for it in the Busch Clash, so it'll be interesting to see how the next-gen cars run come LA time. But if anybody ever tells you that you have to go to the car dealership and it's going to take days and days to change your engine, you can refer back to this, because it doesn't, if they really know what they're doing. All right, so not a level of concern when it comes yet for teams. Multiple tests left for the next-gen car. But let's look at the level of concern back with the playoff drivers, because we're now heading to Kansas. There's 2 races to lock yourself into Phoenix and 3 spots left. So, Bob, level of concern first up for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He is 9 points above the elimination line.
Is Denny Hamlin ever concerned about anything? I mean, Denny Hamlin's not concerned. I mean, he might be a little bit worried, but concerned, Denny Hamlin, never.
All right, Mamba, the 11.
They got Chris Gabehart. He's like I've said it before. He's one of the best leaders in the garage, and he's not gonna let anyone be worried about nothing. He's gonna be, all right, bud, go get your stage points. All right, bud, we're in a good spot here. All right, bud, go win this race. That's it. He's fine.
They're in a little bit of an audible right now. I just want the shake of a head. It can be no or yes. Is this the year that Denny Hamlin wins the championship? Okay. All right, moving on. Level of concern for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Mamba, I'm coming to you first on this one.
I would say it's a little higher than the 11. They just have been on this rocky road, and the team goes with the driver. And if the driver is happy, it seems like everything's good. If the driver is in there and he's a little rowdy Busch in it, then it's not as great. So I think that they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, Bob, I want to know Kyle Busch's aggravation level just on his day-to-day life, because, man, he is aggravated every time in a race car lately. He is 8 points to the good above the elimination line right now, but he has flip-flopped that line pretty much every single race.
Did you hear him yesterday? Did he sound like a guy who went from below the elimination line to above the elimination line? He sounded so happy. He was like, yes, that was great. Or maybe it was like, oh, that was the only good thing about today. So I think, look, Kyle Busch, he takes the mantra, if you're not first, you're last. So he wasn't first. He wasn't close to first. He wasn't sniffing first. So he was not happy. He has a high level of concern.
Yeah, I know he expected a better result in Texas, especially after winning there last season. All right, next up, Bob, this one's coming to you first. The reigning champ, the 9 of Chase Elliott, level of concern?
Big. I think he's got to be concerned. He did move up a spot in the points, but he lost a little bit of the points compared to where the elimination line is. So I think he's going to be concerned. He has run well, as I mentioned, Kansas and Martinsville, but just where he is and who he has to overcome, still concerned.
All right, Mom, but we know who leads the charge over there at Hendrick Motorsports, but your level of concern for the 9.
If it was before the Roval, I'd be like, no, I'm really concerned. But he's kind of flexed a lot of muscle, man. Like, I think that he's showing that he's tough enough and that last year wasn't a fluke. I think he's doing it a savvy way. So I'm not concerned for him because I feel like he's not concerned, and that gives me confidence.
All right. Well, we'll see the level of concern when the 4 car is around. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, Mamba, you on this one. The 2 of Brad Keselowski, level of concern.
I don't know if there's any because I feel like he's playing with house money. You know what I mean? Like no one expected him to get this far. He's moving on to his own team next year. And so he's like, yeah, let me just enjoy this run, and maybe I'll ride off into the sunset like I did with Dodge, and we'll switch the whole organization, and I'll have a championship and be on with it. So I think I don't think there's any level of concern from them. I think he's just enjoying this last run and proving to everybody that he's still capable of being a champion.
Yeah, I know he said that he wanted to go out with the championship for Roger Penske. Bob, level of concern for the 2 crew.
Well, for the 2 crew, I don't think there is a level of concern. They scored 40 points or more yesterday, and they think that if they continue to do that they'll be okay. Now, as far as Brad's level of concern, he's probably more concerned about what's going on at Roush Fenway right now than he is with the 2 crew.
15 points below the elimination line for Keselowski. All right, now let's look at the teams as a whole, the organizations, and one flexed their muscle yesterday at Texas. One struggled a little bit, didn't have the day that we expected, especially coming off of Vegas. So, Mamba, which team are you more confident in, Team Penske or Joe Gibbs Racing?
Oh man, that's tough. You really got me on this one, Weave. I think I'm more confident in Team Penske because of how confident I am in the 12. Like, I've been calling the 12 all year. I thought he was going to win Texas. He didn't win Texas, but he had a really good run, made a lot of points. So I think I'm more confident in the Penske team because of what they've shown this year. And it looks like Gibbs has kind of been riding that roller coaster we've seen all year.
Bob, did you notice how long it took him to say that he was wrong from last week? We're like 10 or 15 minutes into the show. If he were right, we would have heard about it within the first 30 seconds for sure. Bob, which team are you more confident in?
Well, first off, I'll admit that I've been wrong for like 7 or 8 weeks because I haven't had incredible confidence in the 12, and he just keeps proving me wrong. And now, Mamba, I'm going to ride some 12 wave here over the next couple of weeks. All right. So I have made my shift there. I am not more confident in either now. I am just like, if I'm Joe Gibbs Racing, I'm like, what in the world happened? And if I'm Team Penske, other than the 12, it's still been a little bit of a roller coaster ride that I don't know how you have confidence. I think you have confidence that you can do it, but I don't think you have confidence that you will do it.
Interesting. Not confident in either. That basically means that all the money is going into the 5 pot, I think. Maybe all 3 of us, but we'll see. All right, Bob, let's start with you on this one. We normally ask, okay, who are the next 4 that are eliminated? Guess what, guys? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't have that now. There's only 3 that are going to compete with Kyle Larson to win that trophy at the end of the season. So, Bob, who joins the 5 of Kyle Larson? Give me 3 drivers.
Denny Hamlin. I think he'll make it. Ryan Blaney, I'm riding a little bit of a 12 train right now. And then the other, Truex, Kyle Busch.
Okay, all right. Mamba, I know you're a championship for it. Included the 12, it included the 5. Who were the other 2 you had rolling to Phoenix?
I had the 11 and I had the 9. I think it's gonna be really cool because I think either Denny, I just said I don't think he's gonna win, but if he's in there, he has a shot, right? So Denny wins and he finally gets it, right? Cool. If it's one of the younger guys, I mean, it's a passing of the torch, and for Chase, it's back to back. So I think either way, with my Final 4 that's gonna happen, it's gonna be pretty cool to watch in Phoenix.
All right, so for those other 2 drivers, Mamba, do they point their way in or do they win their way in, the 11 and the 9?
Oh, man. I think one of them wins and one of them points their way in. I think that's going to be how it works out.
Okay, safe bet there. Well, we are heading to Kansas now, and it's the middle race in the round of 8, which is an opportunity for one of these drivers to lock themselves into the championship 4. Every single week is important, but Kyle Larson gets 2 weeks to prepare for Phoenix. This would give you 1 week to prepare for Phoenix at least. So, Bob, who you got making it to victory lane on Sunday at Kansas?
I told you I'm riding the train. It's going to be Blaney. Blaney's
boy.
probably still ticked off from last Kansas. Remember, he was leading and Kyle Larson got into the back of them. And you look at the stats and they finished around 19th and 21st. But, they were right in there at the end. And I'm going to go with Blaney after what I saw at Texas. I have some newfound confidence in Blaney.
Look at this, Mamba. Is this your opportunity to pick up?
Plus, I want to put the pressure on Mamba not to pick Blaney.
First off, that's not fair for taking my pick. Okay, so I'm gonna put that out. But I'll give it to you. Welcome to the dark side of the force, Team 12. Okay, I'm here for it. Bob took my pick, so I'm gonna go with the 11. Because I said either he was going to win his way in or the 9. I think the 11 is going to find some magic. I think Chris Gabar is going to get some strategy in there, and I think they're going to knock it down here at Kansas.
All right, Mamba, be prepared to be shocked on my pick. I'm going to go with the 22 of Joey Logano. I think the engine failure just really set him over the edge. I know how bad he wants to be in the championship 4, so I think he does it at Kansas.
Weave, are you sick? Are you okay?
I might be. I might have a
You little flush. 22.
Both of you already know my championship pick. It's the number 5 to win it all. So, I'm just going to take a break from picking this number 5, and we'll pick 2 other people these next couple of weeks. All right, Bob, get back from Texas safely. We hope you actually make it out of that state. I hear everything's bigger there, so hopefully no delays.
Hopefully not, and hopefully Joey Logano grew some big muscles because he's going to have to carry that car on his back if he's going to win at Kansas.
Oh, wait, I'll do the flex. There we go.
Flex. Bob, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since you can't see it, but there's my medal for winning the kickball classic back there. So haven't seen you since the kickball game.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations.
We keep waiting for Bob to bring back the kickball socks. If you don't know, look on social media. They were the best thing ever. All right. Well, we have 2 more races left in the round of 8 to determine who will be the championship 4 that are trying to hoist that NASCAR Cup Series trophy at the end of the season. Make sure and tune in to Kansas coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday on NBCSN. And we'll see you guys right back here. Get you some barbecue in Kansas, and we'll see you back here on Backseat Drivers.